All right, hey traders, TG Watkins here. Let's make sure we have everything up and running and going. Let me get this over here. And we'll kind of run through a few things that we got in the market. I got some just general things to be showing you guys today. So let me kind of get a little bit set up here and make sure it looks like we're good to go. Thank you, Mirza. And coming over here to profitpilot.com for Twitter, this is something I posted yesterday. We've been doing pretty well as far as making these calls. We've got some of the Moxie patterns that have been working out pretty well. And then I can show you here, looking at these are the posts. So you can see here this was October 16th and October 17th, and today, of course, is the 18th. So we've been looking at these calls, and the guidance has been pretty good. And through here, on the 16th, I was saying, hey, quick dip to the 15-minute 50, and if it held, would be awesome. And then we can see that on the 17th, I'll show you pictures too, but it did. Now, granted, it did it very quickly. It lasted for a 2-minute candle bar. So definitely some algos out there running the market on this. And I can show you this. This was the before and after. Oops. So what is going on here? Okay. So you can see that on the left side, that was when I made the first post. And then the right side was basically when the post, when the move happened. And so what we could see right here, let me use maybe magenta. There we go. We can use this kind of color. So you can see that there was a gap here between price and the 15-minute 50. And that was when I said, hey, a little dip to the 15-minute 50 would be great. And then the very next day is exactly what we got. And it did it just very quickly. So, when those algorithms say, this is what we need to accomplish in order to be satisfied, that's where it happened, just like that. Now, let's go to today. I'm going to come over here. I was kind of looking at the UVXY as well. But if we look at today, we can see that the market's still just kind of chopping around. So we're going to have to keep looking at this, waiting. I'd like to think that the market is trying to hammer out a bottom here, but it's looking pretty rough. We've got a lot of indicators that say that this should be kind of the low of the market, but we're going to have to see more participation and a little bit more oomph from the market. And right now, we're just not quite getting that. You can see that we've been kind of oscillating between the lower third ATR, upper third ATR, lower third ATR, upper third ATR. And if the market is going to be a little bit stronger, if it's going to pick up a bit, it might be nice to actually see if we can make kind of a higher low right in through here. We started with a double bottom. That's great. And we had the Moxie divergence. In fact, it was a trampoline move because we had price below the 50, but the Moxie indicator above 0. So that's trampoline move. But then, yesterday I was looking at this and we had a nice run up, but what did it do? It got a little too extended. Got up there, got outside of that third ATR, and it also came right into kind of this level. So you can see I've got it drawn on this one right here. And so we were watching it pull back, and I said, yeah, I'd love to hop in on the IWM, maybe through a TNA, which is the leveraged ETF for IWM. But I was like, I think it's still going to pull back a little bit. And sure enough, that's what we're getting today. So yeah, we got that pullback, and now we need to see if this is going to be able to reverse at some point. If we look at the internals, it doesn't look like it's going to do it today, does it? We went from a couple strong days back down to negativity. So this market continues to kind of be all over the place as far as just up down, no real solid trend. Even though yesterday was seemed like a pretty good day. We opened with a lot of stocks down, and they recovered nicely, and we had nice buying throughout that day. But then sellers came back in today, and we can see that this is back down again. So we've had a couple days up, a couple days down, and yeah, we'll have to see if today ends up being a little bit stronger towards the end of the day. No guarantees. High hopes not exactly there, but we'll see if maybe it can stop at this area. And if it can prove itself, then maybe we can start moving back up again. As it probably won't be today because of the breadth indicators and kind of what we're seeing there. But I'd like to see this thing actually hold and then move up. If we kind of take a look down here on the lower time frames, still nothing yet. So you can see we're trying, but nothing's hooked yet. All right. You can see, we just came in contact with the 2-minute 50, but price is not over the 2-minute 50 yet. And then you can see here, we still have the 5-minute 8 below the 5-minute 21. So we still got some work to do. If you want to see, now granted, this was over the weekend. Let me zoom out for you here. Yeah, right through there. So what we want to see is, are these moving averages start to get closer together and then turn, just like this. Unfortunately, it happened overnight. So that's what can make it a little bit tricky with this market, as the moves set up in the after hours. All right, so let me know if you guys have any particular questions, what you're looking at out there. If anything of interest, we kind of go around the wheel. We'll take a look at a few things. The TNX, so bonds and interest rates, they are still going up. Now, I did make the case yesterday, let me kind of zoom in on this, that if we look at the weekly chart, there is a possibility that we could be getting into an area where price might pull back a little bit. You can see here, price got kind of extended and extended. We're kind of getting up that area. Of course, it can persist for a while. I'm not calling it right now. I'm just saying it's getting into an area that we've seen at least 3 times before, that it tends to run out of steam up around that area. So this is another area, another thing that I'm watching in order to see if the market can kind of find its footing at any given point. And, because if the TNX can back off a little bit, that's going to help the market. So that is also part of why the market is not doing so well and not very happy, is because TNX is way up here. And another one would be the dollar. So if we look at the Dixie here, it's been on a pretty good clip up here, but it did find a little bit of resistance here at that third ATR, and it's been backing off since. It would be interesting to see if it can come back down to the daily 50. If it can pull back to the daily 50, even if it's still in an uptrend, that would be a nice, like a nice dip in order to go back up. We see that with stocks and indices and just price patterns all the time anyway. And it would be interesting to see if the dollar can do that. And if it can, if it lines up also with maybe the TNX kind of topping out, that would make for a little bit of a move in the market. For the IWM example, that would take us at least up to the daily 50, maybe to the third ATR. So that's why I was like, I'm looking at this, and this looks like it's trying to put in a low here. It looks like it doesn't want to go down any further, but we also may not really get much excitement. So that's kind of what we're looking for, and seeing if there's going to be anything that helps us along to the upside here. Then if we take that and if we look at the NASDAQ, NASDAQ just kind of hanging on by a thread here. Not too terrible, but also not too great. Still kind of waiting for something, some clarity. We can see here that we have a potential trampoline move. Basically, that is when price is below the 50, but the Moxie indicator is above 0, but just no traction yet. I've been looking at it here, trying to see if price was going to get over the 15-minute 50, but can't quite do it. Can't quite do it. Moxie indicator still a little bit below 0, so we're going to have to see this thing turn up. If this area, for me, that's kind of my line in the sand. If this can't hold, then we either get out or the market's not going to do too well or something like that. And of course, that's going to line up with the IWM, meaning that if we're looking at the IWM and I want to see it move up, well, then the NASDAQ and the SPY should move up just fine. But if this doesn't do well and the IWM continues to be heavy and maybe just goes sideways and actually starts sinking a little bit further and it just can't move to the upside, then yeah, these things are going to have problems too. So right in through here, this is the area. We need to see if this holds, because otherwise, even if it bounces and it runs into the underside of that 15-minute 50 and then that pushes it down, yeah, that's going to be important to know, and something we'll have to watch out for. And then if we look at the SPY, we come over here, and it's trying to push up. It's trying to hold that hourly 50. It's trying to get past someplace. But then I wonder, is the daily 50 still going to be resistance? It's a big thing. We did manage to get off of these lows, and we did bounce off the daily 200, and we came right up to the 50. So the question is, can it come up to here, maybe hold a little bit, and can it push further? Can it go up to the top of its range? Can it go up to the that upper third ATR? Otherwise, it's going to come up here, and it might end up rolling back down. And then it'll be interesting, or we'll have to see, can it come down? Will it do a double bottom? or and then if it does that double bottom, can it move up from there, or is it going to come down, have a resting area, and then continue to move lower? That's going to be the real challenge in through here. So yeah, it's a very fragile market, as one of my trading friends was telling me, and we were talking about it. It's like, yeah, it's very fragile, and it's a state where it has little room for error. And it's pretty amazing considering we have so many things kind of listening, telling that the market is just kind of extended to the downside. We've looked at the here, let's get this, the put call ratio. This thing has been up here for quite some time, and usually it's done a pretty good job in the past. Right here, marking the lows, right here, marking the lows, and here, marking the lows, and even here, marking the lows. Doesn't have to happen right away though. That's kind of the thing, and maybe that's what we're in right now. Oops, let me get this. Quit moving my mouse. There we go. And you can see that even right here, it took some more hammering out until the market was finally ready to move up. And even this one, right here, let me see if I can get my cursor right there. You can see that it peaked out, but the market still took another little dip down until it moved up again. So we're not saying that this is just going to scream on up just because of that, but I would like to look at this and say, hey, I do think that we're going to be I think we're trying to hammer out a bottom. And really, I look at this IWM, and that's kind of the big thing, because if you look here, let me kind of clean this up a little bit. There you go. Look at this. I mean, it's done pretty well holding that, 170 level in the past, and here we are, which of course it's going to work until it doesn't work. Everyone's aware of that. Everyone's probably thinking the same thing. Okay, we're going to bounce, but it might be one of those times where, maybe this is the time it doesn't. So we'll have to be patient and see. Just watch out if we do get a little reprieve and it doesn't do anything, and then it starts to come back down. We also just need to be aware of that too. Right? All right, so it seems like everyone's a little bit quiet out there. Yeah, not too many people chatting away in YouTube and Facebook. It kind of feels like the market too. Even though the internals are, somewhat negative and things are heavy, it just doesn't seem like much is going on out there. It's got some quiet vibes today. Yeah, brighter side. Let's see. Looking at Fubo, huh? Yeah. Well, I mentioned this in the Moxie room the other day, but I said I didn't want to get it right here, right? Because what's the situation? Yeah, what have we gotten through here? Right there. Didn't want to chase that. So pretty happy we didn't get anything, didn't chase it. Now the question would be, would this pullback be buyable at some point? I'm always a fan of seeing it turn, but it is something to be watching for. So either this is going to end up being good and we'll continue to move up, or this is going to kind of come down, bounce a little bit, and then just kind of peter on out and keep melting, because that is something we've been seeing for a lot of things. Yeah, it is another 50, 250. You can see that the 50 was still below the 200. So yep, that was another thing. I was also looking at that 30 TR, and I was also looking at kind of this previous high. So yeah, there were a few reasons that I didn't want to go jump into that. You can also look at this on the 15-minute time frame, and you could say, wow, that was those are really two really solid days, and not sure that I want to go chase that, especially when there's a gap between price and the 15-minute 50. And then let's see, what I talked about. S. Yeah, I just don't know if I really want to get something that's kind of just bumping around the lows. You know, keep an eye on it. Maybe paper trade it, but I don't know. It doesn't seem exciting. It doesn't seem very interesting. And let's see, as far as the VIX, yeah, I've been watching this. The VIX and the UVXY have been moving up. I mean, they do look fairly constructive here. Price came into the daily 50, and this looks like it could get going, and that it's starting to hold the hourly 50. So yeah, if the VIX continues to hold and then moves up, yeah, not going to be great. And same thing with the UVXY. Been watching this too, and I've been noticing the volume. Volume's been coming in quite a bit, and I've also been noticing how the UVXY is coiled here. So As I said earlier, the market feels very fragile. That we have a lot of indicators that say that the pendulum has already swung to the low side, and we're pretty much oversold, and we should actually start seeing move to the upside to kind of take the edge off. But none of that's happening yet, and we do have to remember that things can always get worse, right? If nobody wants to buy, then these things can just keep sinking down. All right, AMC. I wouldn't touch this. I don't think that there's anything going on. Um, yeah, no, I wouldn't do anything with this. Nope, nope. Not unless you're very quick and you've got these short-term runs like this, very short-term runs. But what it do? If we look here, what it do? It ran right into the third ATR on the daily chart. And you could even call this the arch of the foot. So, yeah, just not much there. In fact, at this point, I would watch for it to continue to kind of move down a little bit. This was the bounce, and now let's see if it kind of sinks a little bit. Oh, and Gush. Well, let's look at XOP. So XOP Gush is the leverage ETF of Gush. And then as far as that goes, I think this has to do with all the conflict. Israel, maybe Ukraine, although Ukraine's been going for quite some time. So yeah, this was a pretty big reversal. I don't tend to trade the energy sector, mostly because of global events and just how much stuff is involved with that, how many players are involved. But if we do look at this, it kind of looks like a constructive pullback. We called the top right there, definitely got the correct pullback. And then look, it basically bounced off these moving averages and even the monthly moving average, and looks like it might want to continue to move it up. So for better or for worse, this might actually be one of the better sectors to trade to the long side if that's where you want to go. Now, I wouldn't do it today. I'm not sure that today would be a great place to enter, mostly because you are up here at a previous high and you're starting to pull away from the 8 EMA. I would look for some sort of other opportunity, but it is something to watch. And you can see it's pretty much completed that 5,250 on the hourly chart, but still, I think that you could use a bit of a pullback right there. All right. So Amvest, as far as earnings go, if PayPal has earnings coming up, anything goes. So anything can happen on earnings. It can go up, it could go down, it can do nothing. Basically, technical analysis, I don't have any edge when it comes to earnings. I don't think most people do. So I can't say what it's going to do for earnings. And then it looks like leading up to earnings, I mean, this thing has been just in a down. There's nothing positive about this. Basically, sure, there are a couple up moves like that, but basically, other than that, it seems like the better place to just short the bounces, just short them. So, yeah, I just don't think there's much to work with this. Even here, it's gone down just a little bit. How many percent is this? About 10%. That's not too bad. But yeah, I don't know. This doesn't seem like a really great stock to be trying to trade, and I would be leaning to the downside if you wanted to do anything with something like this. Brighter side, kind of going back to Gush, or rather XOP. If XOP, yeah, I kind of would not be surprised if this wants to break out. I could see this happening, but use the lower time frame to find just that next little entry, and yeah, this is looking fairly good. Like it does want to move to the upside. All right, then we'll do last one before I get going. Crowd, come over here. Yeah, not too shabby. It's had a lot of chop in through here, but that was basically flagging. You could see here that price was kind of dealing right here, but it went sideways, did finally find some support basically right here into the monthly 10 and continue to move up. At this point, yeah, I would say it's in a fairly good trend. I've got a couple of tickers that are looking decent like this. I'm not sure if I'd want to initiate right there, but if you're in the trade, it's looking pretty good. And if we come over here, this is the other reason why I'm saying that right now, today, probably not the greatest opportunity. Because what are you at? You are way at the third ATR, just like you were there and there and there. So yeah, not kind of place that I would say, yeah, start getting long. I would actually be looking for more of a pullback for crowd. And then after the pullback, then I would say, okay, maybe it looks like it wants to keep going. Because yeah, it does look pretty good on the monthly and weekly time frame, but also looks to me like it is on the verge of wanting to pull back. So GR, if I have a feeling if price breaks the hourly 50, I have a feeling that's what's gonna let it drop. Just like you can see here, price broke the hourly 50, and that was the pullback. So yeah, I'd be careful. Be careful on this one. It looks like it wants to pull back, and you can see here the 15-minute Moxie indicators are below zero, and they're staying below zero, which is telling me that this does not have a lot of energy to it. So yeah, I would say watch out for a pullback. And you can see it's been pulling away from that weekly 8 EMA too. Yeah, looking a little precarious. All right, guys. Well, just remember, if you aren't connected with me over at on Twitter or X or whatever we're going to be calling it nowadays, come on over. Make sure you guys, I guess, subscribe, like, whatever, because we've actually got some pretty good stuff here. We've been watching the IWM. I've been careful with it. Like today or yesterday, I said I think it's still going to pull. Sure enough, it did. So just got to be a little bit patient with this thing. And man, you got either patient or very quick. One of those two. Find your spot or take advantage of it really, really quick and then get out. It's kind of been the theme of the market for quite some time. All right, guys. Well, for those of you in the Moxie room, I'm going to be back in the options room in about a little over 30 minutes, and see you guys there again. Take care.